How did it happen? Dracon asked immediately. Grandmaster Hank came to the Dragon Palace in a fury. He broke into the palace and unlocked the acupoints of those elders. Then they rushed out of the palace together, Elder Liam told him over the phone. Hearing the news, Dracon's face turned livid with rage. Grandmaster Hank was so outrageous that he broke into the North Atlantic Dragon Palace. He didn't know that Grandmaster Hank was struck by lightning last night, and half of his dragon horn was cut off. Thinking of South Atlantic's masters, who were imprisoned in North Atlantic, Grandmaster Hank went insane with rage, and that drove him to break into the North Atlantic Dragon Palace to free his elders. While Elder Liam was reporting to Dracon, ferocious Grandmaster Hank led the 16 recovered elders toward Jacob's house by the seaside. A mere mortal dared to set traps for our clan. Grandmaster Hank understood the whole incident from his elders and decided to capture Jacob's grandma in person. He couldn't find Henry in the North Atlantic Dragon Palace, so he didn't dare to stay longer in the palace and left in a hurry. After flying out of the sea, he thought for a while and decided to capture Jacob's relative and trade for Henry. It would be an easy solution. The 17 people formed a triangular formation while they flew swiftly above the sea surface toward the seaside villa. Meanwhile, in the house, seeing Dracon put down his cell phone with a heavy expression, Grandma smiled gently. It's okay. You can go and handle your business. Dracon hesitated and wasn't sure if he should go back to the palace to check up on the people there. Grandmaster Hank had high status in the dragon tribe, and the elders guarding the palace wouldn't dare to hurt him without Dracon's permission. That was why Dracon was afraid that Grandmaster Hank might have caused casualties. Since Elder Liam got the news from General Arthur, he didn't know about the details of the conflict himself. Meanwhile, Grandmaster Hank and 16 elders were getting closer to Jacob's house by the second. Grandmaster Hank was experienced and knew that the sisters used a pair of powerful treasures. However, he would arrange the 16 elders in an array formation and use it to counter the pair of treasures. In the house, Dracon was silent for a short moment. Well, I'd better go back and have a look. The moment he stood up, thunder crackled outside. He walked to the window and looked out, but could not see anything unusual. While they were flying above the sea surface, Grandmaster Hank and the elders also heard the thunder. Grandmaster Hank, who had just been struck by lightning last night, shivered involuntarily. I will say this one last time. Don't make a move against mortals. A majestic voice came from the white clouds in the sky. Then, 16 bright shooting stars shot down from the sky and landed on the spines of the 16 elders. With muffled grunts, the 16 elders all fell into the sea and created 16 splashes. Grandmaster Hank immediately paused in midair. As if they were water skiing, the 16 elders slid onto the beach by momentum. When they stood up, they were horrified to find that their cultivation strengths of 8th level and 7th level were all destroyed. They were turned into mortals. Their cultivation strengths were all burned up, and they couldn't activate even one trace of nature essence. Their cultivation strengths were not locked, but destroyed. The hundreds of openings in their dragon cores were blocked, and their hundreds of years of cultivation were gone. You tried to make moves against mortals repeatedly. This time, the punishments are just reminders. If you do it again, both your bodies and souls will be destroyed. The stern voice resonated in the sky. Who is it? Stunned, Grandmaster Hank flew up into the sky. "Look up! The gods are watching!" The voice answered him while a dazzling shooting star shot down. It struck Grandmaster Hank's back, making him fall down just a bit. He tried to fly up again, but another shooting star hit his head. Then another and another. There were 7 of them in total. They struck him down little by little until he fell into the sea. When he got out of the sea, he was horrified to find that his cultivation strength had been lowered from the 8th level to the 3rd level. His tough dragon core seemed to be blocked by cement, and only 40 small openings were left. The thunder stopped, and the evening sky looked peaceful again. The white clouds floated leisurely as if nothing had happened. "Grandmaster, what should we do?" Soaked, the elders stumbled to Hank's sides. Grandmaster Hank gritted his teeth and looked up at the sky. "For the next 100 years, we will never bring up the topic of taking North Atlantic's territory." Having lived hundreds of years, he wanted to cry at the current pathetic situation. He had taken South Atlantic's elites to the North Atlantic's territory, intending to exert pressure on Dracon. However, before the battle even began, his force was destroyed. Not only did the top 16 elders of his clan lose all their cultivation strengths in one instant, but he himself had dropped from the powerful 8th level to the insignificant 3rd level. This loss didn't include Reggie, who had been captured by the Dragon God Shrine. The force that South Atlantic had spent hundreds of years nurturing was turned into dust in the blink of an eye. Right now, Grandmaster Hank only wanted to go back to the South Atlantic Dragon Palace and end this nightmare. Although notorious for his viciousness, Grandmaster Hank was suddenly filled with fear. He waved his hand, saying, "Let's go home." North Atlantic was deceptively powerful, and he could never defeat it. Grandmaster Hank finally understood the deceptive game the North Atlantic Dragon Clan had been playing. Obviously, they had shown their weakness to lure him into their trap. The elders, who had lost their cultivation strengths, had never seen Grandmaster Hank in such a frantic state. They looked at him, mirrored his panic, and asked, "But Grandmaster, what about the prince?" "We can't help him now. We'll talk about it after we get back." Grandmaster Hank fled toward the road on the seashore. Since he was lowered to 3rd level, he could be killed easily by any higher level cultivator. Besides, he was leading 16 elders who were literally mortals. Grandmaster Hank could think of nothing but to get back to the South Atlantic Dragon Palace and hide there for 200 or 300 years. He was arrogant and aggressive, and thus had made many enemies. If his enemies knew that he had been lowered to the 3rd level and lost most of his elders, they would undoubtedly hunt him down for revenge. He could only be saved inside his palace under the protection of the palace's defense array formation. It would be a disaster if he met any of his enemies on his way back to the palace. He lost all of his previous arrogance, and in its place was fear. While stumbling on the beach, something dawned on him, and he paused and yelled, "I was tricked! Tricked!" "What is it, Grandmaster?" One of the elders asked him anxiously. "I took one wrong step and lost everything," Grandmaster Hank said with sudden understanding. "Kenneth must have passed the heavenly tribulation and flown into heaven as a heavenly dragon. It is Kenneth who had been messing with us." Thinking of the shooting stars, Grandmaster Hank was still afraid. He murmured to himself, "The realm of heavenly dragon. It must be Kenneth. We were all tricked by North Atlantic." He stomped hard on the sand, In the next 500 years, no one talks about taking North Atlantic's territory. Since they have a Grandmaster on the Heavenly Dragon Realm, we will never be able to gain the upper hand in a battle with the North Atlantic. In his mind, only masters on the Heavenly Dragon Realm were capable of such power. The more he thought about it, the more fearful he got. Since Kenneth has reached the Heavenly Dragon Realm, from now on, my clan will have to give ways to North Atlantic, he thought. In his panic, he would never have imagined that Kenneth had failed the Heavenly Tribulation. In fact, the one who struck them was a Grandmaster on the Soul Formation Realm.